Good morning, everybody. This is Stephen Pugh of the Home Bible College. It's April the 29th, and we're looking at the 14th chapter of 1 Kings. Now, in these few passages, it's rather depressing, to say the least. We see that king after king follows, and most of them do evil in the sight of the Lord. You know, under law, there were two designations. They either did that which was right in the eyes of the Lord, like David their father, or they did that which was evil in the sight of the Lord. And we're going to see that as we read it through. We see first of all that Ahijah warns Jeroboam. Ahijah the son of Jeroboam fell sick, and Jeroboam said to his wife, "Arise, I pray thee, and disguise thyself, that thou be not known to the wife of Jeroboam, and get thee to Shiloh. And behold, there is Ahijah the prophet, which told me that I should be king over this people. And take with you 10 loaves and cracknels and a cruse of honey, and go to him, and he will tell thee what shall become of the child." And so she went. But when she was coming, the Lord spoke to Ahijah, saying, "Behold, the wife of Jeroboam cometh to ask a thing of thee for her son, for he is sick. Thus and thus thou shalt say unto her." You see, the Lord understands everything. He knows the intentions. He knows what people are wanting to do. He knows what people are requesting. The Lord is completely in control of the situation. And although the prophet was blind, nevertheless, when she came, he said to her, "Come in, thou wife of Jeroboam. Why do you pretend thyself to be someone else? For I am sent to thee with heavy tidings. Go and tell Jeroboam, thus saith the Lord God of Israel. Forasmuch as I exalted thee from among the people, and made thee prince over my people Israel, and rent the kingdom away from the house of David, and gave it to thee, yet thou shalt not be as my servant. Thou hast not been as my servant David, who kept my commandments, and who followed me with all his heart, to do only that which was right in mine eyes. But thou hast done evil above all that were before thee. Thou hast gone and made thee other gods and molten images, to provoke me to anger, and hast cast me behind thy back." Wow. You see, the Lord knows and understands exactly what evil men do, and God will hold them all to account. He says, "Who the dogs do not eat in the street, the birds will eat in the field." So he's saying, look, all of your family are going to perish. And so we won't read the whole chapter, but it's a terribly, terribly sad end. Jeroboam reigned for 22 years and died, and Nadab his son reigned in his stead, and Rehoboam the son of Solomon reigned in Judah. Rehoboam was 41 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 17 years, the city which the Lord did choose above all the tribes of Israel to put his name there, and his mother's name was Naamah, an Ammonitess. And Judah did evil in the sight of the Lord, and they provoked him to jealousy with their sins which they committed above all that their fathers had done. For they built high places and images and groves on every hill and under every green tree, and they were also sodomites in the land, and they did according to all the abominations of the nations which the Lord cast out before the children of Israel. You know, God understood how evil these men were. When we come down to chapter 15, we see that Nebat reigned, that Jeroboam the son of Nebat reigned Abijah over Judah. 3 years reigned he in Jerusalem. His mother's name was Malchah, the daughter of Abishalom, and he walked in all the sins of his father, which had done before him, and his heart was not perfect before the Lord his God, as the heart of his father David. Nevertheless, for the Lord's sake, the Lord did not give him a lamp in Jerusalem to set up his son after him, and to establish Jerusalem, because David did that which was right in the eyes of the Lord, and turned not aside from anything that he commanded, all the days of his life, save only in the matter of Uriah the Hittite. And so the sad story goes on and on. Verse 9, it says, Asa reigned over Judah. Now the question was going to hang now. What would Asa be like? What would Asa be like? Now, my password starts in verse 11. It says, Asa did that which was right in the eyes of the Lord, as did David his father. He took away the Sodomites out of the land. He removed all the idols that his fathers had made, and also Malchah his mother, even her he removed from being queen, because she made an idol in a grove. And Asa destroyed her idol and burnt it by the brook Kidron. But the high places were not removed. Nevertheless, Asa's heart was perfect with the Lord all his days. Now the idea there of being perfect with the Lord, the word perfect there means to worship the Lord and to serve the Lord and to keep the commandments of the Lord perfectly. That doesn't mean that he was sinless, because whenever his heart smote him, whenever he realized his sin, he offered a sacrifice to enable his sin to be covered. Now Asa's life was wonderful, except that we find that in verse 23 it says, nevertheless, in the time of his old age, he was diseased in his feet. Sad, really. But he then died and was buried with his fathers in the city of David his father, and Jehoshaphat his son reigned. His son reigned in his stead. And we go on down and we read of Nadab. It says he did evil in the sight of the Lord, walked not in the way of his father David. Then we get down to Baasha. It says that he walked in the way of Jeroboam, and in his sin wherewith he made Israel to sin. He did evil in the sight of the Lord. Chapter 16, the word of the Lord came to Jehu, the son of Hanani, said Baasha, saying, forasmuch as I exalted thee out of the dust, and made thee prince over my people Israel, and thou hast walked in the way of Jeroboam, and hast made my people Israel to sin, to provoke me to anger with their sins, behold, I will take away the posterity of Baasha, and the posterity of his house. I will make thy house like the house of Jeroboam, the son of Nebat. And those that die in the city will be eaten of dogs, and those that die in the fields will be eaten by the birds. Terrible end, that came about when the leaders of Israel, when the kings of Israel led their people into sin. It says, verse 7, for all the evil that he did in the sight of the Lord, in provoking him to anger with the work of his hands, in being like the house of Jeroboam, because he killed him. And then we have Elah. Elah also did that which was evil in the sight of the Lord. However, Zimri destroyed all the house of Bashan according to the word of the Lord, which he spoke against Baasha by Jehu the prophet, for all the sins of Baasha and the sins of Elah his son, by which they sinned, and by which they made Israel to sin, in provoking the Lord to anger with their vanities. And then we have Zimri. Zimri, it says of him, it says that he conspired and hath also slain the king, and the captain of the host was king over Israel that day in the camp. All the sins which he sinned in doing evil in the sight of the Lord, in walking in the way of Jeroboam. Then we have Omri, where we had at this particular time, in the days of Omri and Tibni, we have a division. Israel is actually divided into two parts. Omri reigned over Israel 12 years, and 6 years he reigned in Tirzah, and he bought the hill of Samaria for 2 talents of silver, and built on a hill, and called the name of the city which is built after the name of Shemiah, owner of the hill, which then became Samaria. And Omri wrought evil in the eyes of the Lord, and did worse than all that were before him, for he walked in all the way of Jeroboam the son of Nebat, and in his sin wherewith he made Israel to sin, to provoke the Lord God of Israel to anger with his vanities. And then lastly we have a summary of the life of Ahab. Now Ahab is the king in which Elijah had to deal with, and so we have some episodes later in the life of Elijah. Ahab the son of Omri reigned over Israel, and Ahab the son of Omri reigned over Israel in Samaria for 22 years. And he did evil in the sight of the Lord above all that were before him. So this was a constant downward path. Each of the kings was worse than the rest. Of course, we get exceptions. Asa was a great man who did what was right in the eyes of the Lord. One of the things I want you to just get a grip on here is that in the Old Testament, it doesn't talk about being saved and unsaved. They're all unsaved as Christians are, but they are all in the covenant that God brought them into. And in that covenant, they either do that which is right in the eyes of the Lord and are called a righteous man, or they do that which is evil in the sight of the Lord and they're called an unrighteous man. This is how God describes all those outside of the church and outside of grace. They are either those that do right or those that do evil. So there we are. Sad passage in many ways. I wish you all a wonderful day and look forward to speaking to you all again tomorrow. Bye-bye. God bless you.